G'day Internet, Tom here from Built Moto. Sitting behind me is a KTM Freeride E-XC, our first foray into electric motorcycles, and you're going to be seeing a lot more of that with our second project, Grid Cycle. What we've done with this thing is take it from the standard everyday looking motocrosser that they come out as and tried to inject a little bit of nostalgia into it, making it a bit more exciting for the everyday rider. So let me take you through just what we did. With the KTM being electric, we didn't have to worry about engine builds or exhaust builds or messing with any of the running gear. We could just focus on the style. So the biggest part of the fabrication that we did was the custom subframe. Made from 16mm chromoly tubing and given provision on this side for a surf rack to be bolted on and off, this was a really key element of giving the custom touch to the KTM Freeride. A big part of this tail build was trying to keep things clean and minimal. So I've gone with a brat style seat that Timeless Auto Trim's trimmed out with some nice gripper leather that matches in with the colours on the tank. We've then Frenched in some indicators and tail lights on the back, keeping things very, very tidy with the 3-in-1 lighting, and made a super simple tail tidy for the number plate. With the tail being so slim, we didn't have any room to hide any of the electrics like we normally do in our customs, so we had to make this pop-up hinged tank. In here, you've got your auxiliary battery, fuse panel, and then charging port. The batteries on these things can also be easily unbolted and removed to be replaced trackside. The tank itself is from a late 70s model Yamaha XT500. We hollowed the tank out underneath and reinforced the back so it could be pivoted with its gas strut. So we've also included a little gear satchel that sticks to the inside of the tank there to stash your gear in while you're riding. The handlebar section on this bike stayed predominantly the same. All we did was add some orange and black pro grips to tie them with a paint scheme. We did, however, make some pretty substantial changes to the front end. We fabricated some custom stainless steel bracketry to house the indicators and headlight on this thing, giving it more of a classic feel. And then building off the design that we use on our Adventure Sportsters with the custom aluminium front fender. Because we built this thing up to be used as a commuter on the street, the gearing had to be changed. KTM tickets these things to be speed limited to 80 kilometers an hour. Because they were only released for a couple of years in Australia, the information on these bikes is pretty light, so we had to do a few experiments. What I wanted to find out was if that speed limitation was within the ECU and computer that runs this bike, or if it was just in the gearing. And I'm thankful that it was just the gearing. So what we did was bump the front sprocket up a couple of teeth to give it more top speed. So now this thing will cruise at about 80, but it tops out at about 95. So as I mentioned at the top of this clip, what we really want to do with these electric bikes is get people excited about them. For me, I've had the opportunity to ride a few electrics and the ride experience is really unbelievable. However, when I look at them, it doesn't really get me going, and that's what I wanted to change. For me, half the battle with motorcycles is being excited about the way it looks and sitting there, checking it out, wanting to go for a ride. So what I tried to do was look back on some vintage KTM stuff and try to bring back a bit of that golden era of the KTM dirt bikes back in the 70s and early 80s. So we went with the standard KTM orange, gave it a really nice matte black, and then added a bit of red detail in there too, putting the retro striping on the tank as well. This stuff was done by Justin at Pop Bang Classics. I can't thank him enough for the killer job that he did. So the startup procedure on this thing is a little bit more boring than our standard bikes, but the ride experience is all the better for it. This thing is completely silent. I know what it feels like on the road, but what I really wanted to experience was how this thing went through the bush. So I went down to some coastal trails and then pop out onto the beach with the GoPro strapped onto me. So wait for the test ride. Check out this startup procedure. Zero noise. Hey, do you know how I get to the beach from here? Can I get to the beach down there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks.
So maybe you arrive like maybe 3 minutes more.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good ride. Thanks, mate. Generally, this is the part where your favorite YouTuber is going to ask you to subscribe to their Patreon. Luckily for you, we're not YouTubers. We're bike builders and parts makers. So if you like the content we create and the bikes we build, or you hate both of those things and just want to grab some gear for your next project, make sure you show your support, jump on our online store and give your bike that purpose-built moto touch. Thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.